This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF. Visit with your local ag retailer about 0% financing on all BASF crop protection, seed treatment, and Zetavo brand soybeans now through March 15th. Powered by soy biodiesel, I'm heading to Norwalk today for our monthly check-in at Farm Credit Mid-America. Going to be visiting about the importance of crop insurance in your farm's risk management plan. Then it's out west we go for the American Farm Bureau Federation Conference on Monday with coverage thanks to Farm to Power. Learn more at farmtopower.org. Let's check in with our weekly update from the Ohio Soybean Council and your checkoff dollars at work. Here's Dusty Sonnenberg.
I'm visiting with Brianna Metz with the U.S. Soy Export Council. Brianna, obviously China not one of the big import partners this year, unfortunately, but let's talk about some of the different places where U.S. soy is being exported to.
A market we've seen come online really massively in the last couple of weeks would be Bangladesh. They just recently signed a memorandum of understanding and a letter of intent to purchase $1.25 billion worth of U.S. soy and soybean meal over the next 12 months. And what that means is that market obviously has a growing middle class and a growing demand for protein. And so most of that is going into poultry feed. And what we see is that they need high protein raw feed ingredients, and soybean meal is sitting there ready to be that feed ingredient for them. And they have a growing crush industry. And so they serve as a market that imports both meal and whole beans. And so there really is a lot of opportunity there for U.S. soy.
Bangladesh has a huge population globally.
Yeah, so Bangladesh has the 5th largest population in the world. And so with a growing population, and their population is expected to continue to grow, there is a growing demand for protein among their people. And so with that, more protein demand from a consumer means more protein on the shelves, which means there needs to be more protein in the animal diet. And we see what we call a protein pool all the way from the consumer back down to the raw feed ingredient. We see more demand for protein from a consumer standpoint, which means more live animal production, which means more feed ingredients that they have to source. And U.S. soy is there, and there is a preference building in Bangladesh where they want to source U.S. soybean meal, whether it's crushed in market or imported as soybean meal.
Again, my guest is Brianna Metz with the U.S. Soy Export Council. Today's update brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff.
Let's check the forecast, brought to you by Seed Consultants, simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Ryan Martin.
A beautiful day today. Yes, clouds will start to increase here this afternoon, but I still think today, with the sunshine to start, we end up being a little bit warmer than tomorrow. The clouds late today into tonight will yield some scattered precipitation through the day tomorrow. Well, at least morning to midday. I'm going to look at anywhere from a quarter to 3/4 of an inch across about 80% of the Buckeye State. Following that up with some dryness to finish Friday and go into early Saturday before scattered precipitation comes back. Rain maybe ending as a little bit of wet snow, but mostly rain. Another quarter to half an inch can come across the state before we get blasted with cold Canadian air to finish out Saturday, and that's all the way through Sunday. Some lake effect snow can pop up in there, lake effect cloud cover farther south over central Ohio, and then we stay chilly into the following week. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. As I mentioned earlier, the 2026 American Farm Bureau Convention starts this weekend. We'll be there, posting daily updates on our Facebook and Twitter feeds and broadcasting from the convention floor on Tuesday with our coverage brought to you by Ohio Farm Bureau. Despite challenges from supply, tariffs, and a strong dollar, demand for U.S. beef, pork, and lamb has remained strong in 2025, according to U.S. Meat Export Federation President and CEO Dan Halstrom.
So if you look at what's been working well, you really have to start with some of these countries where we have existing free trade agreements. And there's no better example than Latin America. Mexico, absolutely on fire for pork, setting records for the last 3 years, including this year. And while beef is down slightly, still demand, when you consider the record high prices, demand continued in Mexico as well on beef. But it's not limited only to Mexico. Central America another area that continues to grow and has the last 3 or 4 years. Can't leave Asia out either. Korea in particular has really picked up the pace the last several months. I think there's a lot of good things going on in these markets, which, as we segue into 2026, has a lot of opportunity going forward.
In 2026, U.S. MEF will lay the groundwork to expand markets fueled by programs like USDA's America First Trade Promotion Program. Scholarship season is among us, and Ohio Farm Bureau's got a couple of new ones to offer. With more, here's Allison Kinney.
The Ohio Farm Bureau Foundation just announced the establishment of its newest and most prestigious scholarship opportunity, the Ohio Farm Bureau Ambassador Scholarship. This premier scholarship honors exceptional students who demonstrate academic excellence, meaningful community service, and a commitment to pursuing careers that advance Ohio agriculture. The scholarship provides one renewable award of $10,000, supporting a student pursuing a degree in agriculture or an agriculture-related field. This award can be renewed for up to 3 additional years with a potential total of up to $40,000 per recipient. Recipients are selected to represent the Ohio Farm Bureau Foundation's core values as ambassadors, upholding integrity, dedication, and a commitment to create lasting impact across the state. Kelly Bruns, executive director of the Ohio Farm Bureau Foundation, emphasized that the new scholarship reflects the continued growth and momentum of the organization. To find out more, the full article can be found at ohioagnet.com. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Allison Kinney reporting.
Allison, thank you. The Ohio AgNet continues after this.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your fingertips. Join our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed builders choose Purple Wave. Transparent processes, real deals. Your next great purchase awaits. purplewave.com.
They didn't have skim milk for your coffee, so I just got formaldehyde.
Ugh, isn't that stuff in floor cleaner? Pizza's here. Would you like cheese on that? Or how about a Crolian?
No, that's in bug spray.
Hi there, would you like to sample our new scent? Diethylene glycol.
Isn't that the stuff in antifreeze?
You wouldn't want to eat it, drink it, or even smell it, but that's exactly what's in your vapes. If you vape, quit. If you don't vape, don't start. For help, go to odh.ohio.gov/no vapes. A message from the Ohio Department of Health.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins. At Ohio AgNet and Ohio's Country Journal, we're committed to keeping our audience connected to the heartbeat of Ohio agriculture. That's why we're excited to share a small but meaningful update. In 2026 Digital Dale, our daily email is now the Ohio AgNet Digital Daily. While the name is changing slightly, the email's purpose remains the same, delivering the latest Ohio ag news, markets, weather, and insights that producers rely on every single day. In short, the Ohio AgNet Digital Daily is the same dependable product you trust, now with a name that represents where we are today and where we're headed tomorrow. You can sign up for the Digital Daily at ohioagnet.com and get the latest ag news delivered to your inbox every single day. Time for this morning's featured audio, and for that, we go to Joe Everett.
After the harvest season is over and the combine is parked in the shed, a farmer's job is never complete. And one of those jobs is monitoring grain stored on the farm. On-farm grain storage can offer some great opportunities and value for an operation, but without the right tools, it can be challenging to know exactly what's going on inside. Michael Procker with Tri-States Grain Conditioning says temperature is key.
Any ag university in the country will tell you the number one thing to grain storage is temperature monitoring. So we do temperature monitoring cables, both just analog and digital. Below 40 degrees, mold is dormant. So for a farmer, when he's running his fans after harvest, he wants to be able to check and see, is my grain below 40? Because once you've got your grain below 40, if you're running your fans, you're paying the electric company to shrink your grain. You're losing money both ways. So it's one of the benefits of temp monitoring. The other is to know when your cooling front's gone through. So guys oftentimes say, well, I just run my fans for 2 weeks. And I often recommend it's far better just to be smart and to be able to go and look and say, okay, I've got 30s on the bottom, upper 30s in the middle, but I'm still at 47 at the top. That tells you that moisture front is still sitting at the top of the bin. And if you quit running your fans at that point, all that moisture is going to sit there, and then eventually it's going to freeze. Now you've got a crust on top of the bin. And then when you're running your aeration fans, the air really has nowhere to go because you've got a crust at the surface. So that's the benefit of temperature monitoring, knowing when your cooling front's gone through and knowing your grain's below 40. And then the ideally is you'd want to check it once a week, once you get it below 40, just to make sure you didn't develop a hot spot somewhere. Because mold creates energy creates heat, and that all continues to expand. So if you're able to just check your bin and say, oh, everything's still below 40, I'm good. But if you do find that hot spot, it then lets you know, I either got to core this bin or I need to run my fans and get this cooled back down.
These temperature cables have some costs associated with them, some more economical than others.
The most economical way is a plug-in system where you can walk up to your bin, plug in each cable, and see your temps every 6 feet from the bottom to the top. Another system is called Grain Track, where you can see that right on your phone, run your fans from your phone, get text alerts on hotspots because it checks your grains every 2 hours, and you can actually program your fans to run based on time only.
Putting a full temp cable system in can be expensive, but Procker says even having one or a couple cables can make a difference.
On a 48 diameter bin, if you put one cable in the center of the bin, you're seeing 15% of the bin. Well, 80% of your issues are in the core of a bin. So a lot of guys are like, hey, one cable in the center, I know when the cooling front's gone through, that's where most of my issues are. I can watch for hot spots. If you put 3 cables in a triangle, 8 feet off center, you're covering 50% of a 48 diameter bin. And then a full set of cables would be 1 and 6 around the outside. That would give you 100% of the bin.
Again, that was Michael Procker with Tri-State's Grain Conditioning. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joe Everett reporting.
Thank you, Joe. Markets and analysis after this as the Ohio AgNet continues.
Whether you're in the fields or on the farm, creating a safer work environment has never been easier. BWC's safety consulting services are included with your policy premiums and offer training and education for everyone in your farming operation. It's always the right time to make safety a priority. Visit bwc.ohio.gov or call 1-800-644-6292. The Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation, here to help you work safely.
Here's farmer and businessman James Wood.
We farm about 3,500 acres. There's pipelines everywhere. The contractor working on my property did not have the lines located before he began work, and it resulted on a strike on a natural gas pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. Today's market analysis brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky. Call 574-566-2113 for info on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the Wednesday session on a high note again. Double-digit gains in soybeans, up 2 to 3 in corn, and wheat markets caught fire, up 6 to 10 cents overall. Now, to be honest with you, there was not a really good reason for a big update again yesterday. It did seem like it was technical and even order flow. Traders are starting to position a little bit for USDA's report on Monday. We did see another 2 to 4 cargoes of U.S. beans headed to China overall, but on the flip side, The estimates of the Brazilian soybean crop are huge, absolutely huge, monumentally huge out there. And so it's really going to be a give and take here when you look at fundamentals. Brokers estimate managed money bought 5,200 contracts of wheat, 3,100 contracts of corn, 4,100 contracts of beans. EIA ethanol report showed 323 million gallons of ethanol produced from last week, down a bit from the prior week, but no major concerns there. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. In the overnight trade, corn for March down a half penny at $4.46 1/4. May $4.54 1/2, down by a half cent. No change for January soybeans overnight, $10.52 3/4. The March $10.66 1/4, down 3/4, and wheat for July 3/4 better at $5.40 a bushel. Markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. February live cattle closing out Wednesday down 210 at $234.52. April 235.17 down 220. Lean hogs for February down 87 points at 84.80, and March feeder cattle off 352 after Wednesday at 355.50. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Ty Higgins reporting. We'll see you down the road.